Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GameFront podcast. I'm your host, Ron Whitaker, managing editor of GameFront, and today we have the full Monty, as it were. Our editor-in-chief, Janelle Bonanno, is with us today.
Hello, everybody.
Our senior editor, Phil Hornshaw.
Hey, hey.
And, of course, video producers, Mitchell Saltzman.
Hey, howdy, hey.
And the real James Heaney.
Howdy, hey, hey.
Hey, come on. It's been my intro for, like, every podcast.
It goes dunk, 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 gunk, dunk, gunk. I changed it.
Alright, I'll let you have that one.
Thank you.
Was that like We Will Rock You or something?
That was Ice Ice Baby. Come on.
No, it was
explain the joke.
You have to explain the joke. It's done.
Have you guys ever played? Okay, just so for reference, have you guys ever played the game Cranium?
Yes. Can we play Cranium?
The song parts of Cranium, I suck at. So
the worst. It's absolutely.
I am the worst at getting song.
We should play Cranium next convention we're all at.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Speaking of conventions, half the people in this call just got back from PAX. Phil, Janelle, and James were all at PAX Prime last weekend. What did you guys see that was awesome?
Oh man, there was so much. Do you want to go first, Phil, or do you want me to go first?
Oh no, have at it. I gotta organize.
So I got to get some hands-on time with Tales of the Borderlands.
Nice.
Oh my god, I know you just completely ridiculous when that happened.
It was awesome. I didn't expect them. They gave us hands-on with a full 30 minutes of the game, which for a Telltale episode is like 25%. So it was a pretty decent chunk, and it was actually amazing, in my opinion. I'm a big Borderlands fan, so I kind of have, disclaimer, a little bit of Borderlands fangirlism. But I had a lot of hearty skepticism with Tales because, whenever you take an established franchise and give it to a new team, there's always a little bit something to be worried about there.
Yeah.
But in the 30 minutes that I played, clearly, solidly within the Telltale style, but they really, really nailed the Borderlands humor. And that sense of being in Pandora. So I was really pleased to see that and super excited for the game.
Do you know if Anthony Birch is helping with the writing of Tales of the Borderlands?
I don't know. Did you ask that question during your interview, James?
I did not ask that question because I don't know that name.
You met him.
Anthony Birch.
Yeah. He was sitting with Adam Sessler.
Was he? Right.
So, what about you, James? I mean, what was your big exciting thing that you saw?
I was surprised that, honestly, this is probably my favorite convention. And while there was a lot of stuff that was repeated, there was things that threw some cool new stuff at it. Like, my favorite thing is Salt and Sanctuary. But
I'm so jealous.
It was really cool. It was really cool. It was a side-scrolling Dark Souls-style game with the art of Vampire Dishwasher, or is it Vampire Dishwasher or
Dishwasher Vampire Smile?
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it a lot. But everything I saw felt like it had added some cool stuff, like playing Claptrap in the Borderlands pre-sequel. That was fun.
Oh, God.
What are you laughing about, Rob?
What are you laughing at?
Vampire Dishwasher.
It kills me.
I don't know, Vampire Dishwasher. That's a whole mental image right there.
I mean, it's not that much different than Dishwasher Vampire, right?
Dishwasher Vampire Smile.
Okay. So I was playing Lance Border, and they let me play Trap Clap, and it was really
Clap Trap.
I also had to. When James first put up his video for Borderlands, he put a space between Claptrap, and I'm like, God damn it, James! And I had to fix it.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking thank you, Mitch, right now. Because
nobody would have known. What about you, Phil? What was your big, exciting PAX month?
I'm looking over the schedule right now because I saw a lot of cool stuff. Somewhat, no, I guess not surprisingly. I wouldn't say it was surprising, but it is like the last convention I've seen. I felt like everything, and I was wrong. So I had a good time. I guess I'll just pick one at random. Oh, I had a really great time with Darkest Dungeon, which is very exciting. The indie game. It was a Kickstarter that is it's sort of XCOM / roguelike RPG, which is cool. But the I guess the hook, the gimmick is that you not only have to manage your party's like health and other elements, you also have to manage their stress levels, because they will mentally break down in the middle of a battle, and you know, there's a role when that happens. If they're stressed too much, if they're like losing the battle, if they're afraid they're going to die, whatever, they will you'll roll, and they could either become like super heroic and stalwart and give everybody a boost, you know, when the chips are down, or they could go the other way altogether and like end up with some kind of mental health issue where they just go off the deep end. Like I ended up with one guy who was like the trait he picked up for his stress was abusive, and he just became a huge dick to everybody else in the party, which of course had a cascading effect of affecting their mental state too, as they're getting harassed. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. You know, you send these adventurers down into this dungeon or various dungeons to kind of clear it out. You inherited these ancestral lands, and your uncle or whoever left it to you. You know, he's like sent you a letter, and he's like, hey, you know, come on out here and have this land. And then he killed himself, and turns out he was up to some bad shit, and it released a bunch of monsters. So you have to hire some dudes to, you know, fix that for you. And they die. So it has sort of an XCOM feel to it. That was a lot of fun. I haven't gotten to play it before now, so that was very cool. And I also checked out BioWare's Shadow Realms, the new one that BioWare Austin is doing. Their action RPG that's going to be like episodic, and it's all about 4-player parties diving into dungeons, fighting a 5th player who plays as the Shadow Lord, who controls the monster spawns and the traps and stuff like that. So that was a good time too. A lot of good teamwork there, and had a fun time playing against another player who was just out to murder us. So enjoyed it.
That's cool. I mean, what is it, Mitch?
No, I was going to ask, did anyone get a chance to check out a game called Chariot?
No, I didn't.
Think so.
I did check it out. It was okay. I got a little bored with it.
Really? Oh, that game looks so cool.
It was fun, but when I look at that style of a game, I just kind of feel like I'd rather be playing Little Big Planet. It was a lot of like grabbing stuff and pulling it and kind of like teamwork with that, but I feel like I just didn't enjoy it as much as I probably would have playing Little Big Planet.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, Chariot is a game where it's a 2-player co-op game, and it's your 2 characters are moving along this 2-wheeled chariot, so to speak, and it's supposed to be like the coffin of your dead father that you're bringing to like the kingdom. And
like you're looking for the perfect resting place for the king.
Right. And one person is able to tether a rope to one of the wheels, and the other is able to tether a rope to the other one. And you basically have to use that to cross, you know, very co-op inspired designed levels, or, you know, levels designed with co-op in mind, I should say. And
yeah.
It looks really cool from what I've seen.
I mean,
you play it alone too?
Don't get me wrong. You can play it alone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was playing it alone for it. It's drop in, drop out. And it was definitely more fun when I had somebody playing it with me. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't. I wasn't that impressed, I guess, with the art style. It was okay. It just nothing really other than the fun gameplay, which I feel like I can find in other side-scrolling games, really caught me.
Well, you know, PAX is kind of always about those games that you kind of find and stumble upon and play, and you're like, oh, that was actually kind of cool. So, but PAX Prime is also, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, other than Tokyo Game Show, you know, the last big like multi-gaming convention of the year.
Yeah, I think the last one I can think of is maybe Indiecade in October.
Well, I mean, BlizzCon's in November, but that's not really a big.
But yeah, BlizzCon is 4 games. So.
Yeah, so
GameStop Expo next week.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be there, right, Mitchell?
Yeah, I was gonna check it out. I think the only reason why I really want to go is because I think it's gonna be the first opportunity to play. I don't know this. Was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare playable?
No.
At PAX? No.
I don't know for sure. I don't think so though.
We didn't play it at PAX. So.
I've heard that it's going to be playable at GameStop Expo, which would make sense because it's for GameStop, and Call of Duty kind of relies on GameStop,
and vice versa.
Right.
So, speaking of games and big games and stuff that's just come out, you guys have been playing The Sims, right?
The Sims 4, yes.
Sims 4.
Oh shoot!
The relevant Sims.
One? I've been playing Sims 1.
So, have you guys? What do you think? I've heard some pretty widely varied comments on The Sims 4 so far. I mean,
in my perspective, I know that there's been a lot of people having problems with crashes, and I had a couple issues with crashes, but I can't really blame it on The Sims because it was just when I was trying to stream it through OBS. And when I was trying to stream it with OBS, I was trying to capture the game, and it would crash 100% of the time when I went over there. Then I tried capturing my monitor, and it almost felt like some sort of safety thing where it was just creating a blank white screen. Then I changed it. This is probably a long-winded story, but then I changed it to windowed mode, and it works flawlessly in windowed mode. And I have not had a crash or a bug since. So Mitch, on the other hand, said that he was having some crashes, and he's not alone because I did search the internet about it, and there was a lot of people with issues. I've just been lucky enough not to get them.
Yeah, it's buggy. In addition to crashes, which kind of plagued my first look at the game, the other issue, which just happened today, I've been playing in the same house pretty much unchanged since the start, and I had a bed that I've always been going to, with no problem. And just today I booted it up, and my guy was unable to get inside the bedroom. He just could not figure out how to work the door, and there was plenty of space for him to walk through the door and get into the bed. But he just would not. He would walk outside, walk around to the wall, outside the house, and try to get in. And he was like, "Oh, what's the door?" And yeah, it was really frustrating. I had no money, so I had to sell a bunch of stuff and then expand the wall, make it larger, make my house look ridiculous in order to move the bed back and make it so that he can get in. So that was really frustrating. And just overall, I don't know. I didn't play much of The Sims 3 because I felt like it was not much different than The Sims 2. And this is kind of the same problem that I'm having. I don't see how they can justify $60 for The Sims 4 if you can just get Sims 3 or Sims 2 for a fraction of that cost.
I mean, didn't they?
The same problem I had with Sim City.
Didn't they just? Oh God.
Well, hold on a second. I feel like you're missing a couple things from Sims 3. The transition. The number one huge improvement is load time. It is such a faster loading game, which may not seem that big of a deal, but playing The Sims, there are boorishly long load screens, which I felt like was also in SimCity. But you don't have that many. You don't have it happen that often in SimCity. But in The Sims, when you travel to different places or you're doing anything big, there is big load screens. That's gone away quite a bit. Another thing is they've really streamlined the experience, so you don't have to, if you miss your car ride to work, that could really mess up your whole Sims life if you can't get on a schedule where you catch your carpool. There's no carpool, you just go. And that makes it a lot more fun because you can spend time managing the other things that you want to in your Sims life than trying to make sure you are ready for work in the morning.
I was never late for work, so I never encountered that issue.
You were never late for work?
Can we talk about that really quick?
Yeah.
So I want to bring up a really interesting conversation that we were having in the office yesterday. And it basically relates to the simplification of games and the simplification of games processes. So, whether that things like you were talking about, James, such as trying to make the carpool in order to get to work versus eliminating that from the next iteration of a game, whether that is a choice for fun or a choice to mainstream games as a whole. And I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts on that, because I think that's a very interesting concept, that they're removing difficulty markers from the game in order to streamline the experience and make it easier for people.
I think that's exactly what it is.
Well, I think it's a mix, but I mean, in reality, I mean, sure, some of us take carpool, some of us take, like I bus to work. If I'm late, I'm late, but it doesn't mean I just don't go to work. If you were late in The Sims 3 for your carpool, you just didn't go to work. Now it's like, yeah, you can be late, but at least you're not just abandoning your job. Like, it's 7:15, F it, not going to work today. And, like, that part, like, I wouldn't mind if they added in a car, because what happens is you walk out your house, you disappear, and you just show up at work. But what I don't want is to have to hit some sort of carpool that unrealistically, like, will wait for, like, an hour for you, which still became a challenge to make that hour-long gap sometimes when you're showering or trying to make sure your sim is fed. So
God,
it's just
I know. I feel that every day.
I was gonna say, can I just say for a second that I've never been able to get into The Sims simply because, like, your entire life is trying to make sure you get in the shower on time and get to work on time and, that you have something around to make for breakfast and you don't burn the damn house down with the stove. And
honestly,
I don't want to play a game that I have to do all that.
Right. I can't handle any game that feels like regular life work. I tried to get into, like, Final Fantasy 11 way back, and, I'm, like, trying to kill sheep so I can make a freaking vest, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like, why don't I just get a job? At least I'll be paid at the end. Like, I couldn't handle it, and that's, I think, why I never got into The Sims either. I always spend all my damn time, like, outfitting my house with furniture, and then I was like, I don't really care about the sim part.
The most fun I ever had with The Sims was using the cheat codes for unlimited money, just so I can build whatever I wanted.
Which, by the way, the cheat code for limited money is now on YouTube at youtube.com/gamefront.
It's also on Game.com, so if you need unlimited...
Well, now I can start playing the game. There you
go.
You
and everyone else.
I don't want to cheat. I'm really enjoying the challenge. I think that this game has streamlined the fun, because you still have to shower, you still have to sleep, and those things are important, but it doesn't take up the entirety of your gameplay. What this game focuses a lot more on, and this is my first playthrough. I plan on playing this all the way to the death of James Heaney. But it's all about, so far, relationships and emotions and the things that make your sim a better person. Where it felt like before it was a lot more micromanaging small things.
As a side note, for those of you that don't know, James we, like so many other sites, we did not get an early copy of The Sims 3 for review. And so, now that James has a copy, he's actually live streaming his playthrough for the review every day at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you're doing that for, 3 hours, James?
Well, my plan was originally just to do it all day long, 9 to 5, and maybe even longer. I'm going to try to get as many hours as I can in.
And if you tune in, not only will you get to see The Sims 4 and James Heaney play it, but you get to see gem moments like, what does James Heaney's pajamas look like? Or can James Heaney play the guitar while his Sims plays the guitar?
I don't know if you actually watched the stream, Janelle, but that was what was happening.
I mean... Spoiler, I might have been watching the stream.
The other interesting thing that's been going on is also they're trying to sell the building that I live in, and I've been I've been having a real estate agent with different strangers come through where you don't see my camera, but they're coming through and like looking at my screen and being like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Sims 4."
James, honestly, like I've been. One of the things I was thinking of while you've been streaming is like you should just like impromptu introduce them to the stream and see how they react.
Yeah.
I want to. It's over for today because they were doing it from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. But I felt like it might be like, what is the thing about filming people? I guess if they're aware, but just because they're aware, does that mean you have permission? Then again, they're inside of my house. I'm looking at the camera and actually making gestures right now because I forgot we're not on the stream.
Nice.
But yeah, so I don't know if that's allowed. But I guess if they're inside of my house, then what rights do they have?
Those are states' rights. So in California, you have to have explicit permission by the person being filmed, and all you would have to do is do something like, "I'm live streaming on the internet right now. Say hello to the world," and then they're like, "Yes, that's implicit permission."
But as soon as they say no, does that mean I'm breaking the law?
You are already filming when they walk into your house. It's your house.
Yes. Yeah. That's my feelings on it.
Or, if you don't want anyone to come into your house at all, just put on your door that you're currently live streaming.
I actually do have a sign from when we had the office that says GameFront is live.
If you put that sign on your door, then you don't have to say anything.
Because of the mustache?
Just because if you put up a sign that says, "I'm live streaming in this apartment right now," people are going to think, "Oh, he's live streaming."
Especially if we're doing the ice water, put the hand in the ice water thing. I don't know if
oh my god, because everybody on the stream was like, "Porn sounds!"
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well,
sounds an incredible icy pain are similar apparently.
Yes,
apparently. Yeah, it was more painful than I thought. During our gauntlet yesterday, the punishment for losing was having your hand under ice water for a minute. My original intention was every time we lost, we bumped it up another 30 seconds. But really, actually, a minute was probably all we could handle.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound so random, but there were so many comments in the chat while you had your hand in ice water with that like severe look of pain on your face, and everyone's like, "The James Heaney sex face." And I felt it was so inappropriate for me to go in there, but I want to be like, if that's what people look like while they're having sex with you, I'm so sorry.
I made the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that I saw.
It was in direct response to people we're talking about the sex noises, and I was like, I can't remember what somebody said, but I was like, what, the James Heaney sex face isn't enough for you? So, anyway.
Well, off of that happy stuff.
I thought it was funny at the time.
So, Phil, you've talked a little bit about, over the last few months, about this whole thing with Aliens, Colonial Marines, and Sega, and Gearbox, and the lawsuits, and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, all that fun stuff. Well, today, reporting that Sega is basically blaming Gearbox for mismanaging all of the marketing for Colonial Marines.
Wait, is that possible?
Yeah, I know. Believe that?
Well, I feel like that's not quite fair. I feel like Sega already settled.
Well, no, Sega offered a settlement. Gearbox has filed an injunction asking the judge to block that settlement from going through.
Right. Yeah, and Gearbox doesn't want to be a part of that settlement and wants to get the whole thing thrown out. So, but to me that means that, like, Sega has admitted, to some wrongdoing in some way, or not. I guess that's not fair. But they are at least trying to get out of this.
I was going to say, Sega's probably looking at it going, I think the tenant...
They're not, part of the settlement is surely them saying, in fact, actually, we don't have any obligation here, or we're not admitting any wrongdoing.
Wrongdoing, yes.
But anyway, my point just being that I don't think they're fully blaming Gearbox for all of it.
Well, I mean, Gearbox, apparently, from what I read today, there was a tentative settlement agreement for $1.25 million from Sega to the plaintiffs. Most of it going to be paid out to anybody that bought the game before February of 2013.
Right.
And then Sega told the Gearbox attorneys that they could be included in the settlement if they threw in $750,000.
Yeah.
And so Gearbox instead filed a motion to have the case thrown out and said that it shouldn't be even be on the suit because it operated only as a contractor and that Sega had the final say on everything.
Exactly.
And so Gearbox is saying that settlement would leave them basically stuck holding the bag in a future lawsuit. You know, even though they're...
If I was Gearbox, I would go whole hog on this. And you know what, like, I would posit, and disclaimer, I know none of the background. So I'm just completely speculating here with no information. But, you know, normally the marketing decisions and all the advertising is handled by the publisher.
Right.
And the publisher has final say in all of that stuff, if not the only person involved in said marketing. So if I was Gearbox and I just didn't care about Sega, right, because I might have relationships with a bigger publisher, let's say 2K, I would just throw Sega under the fucking bus. And I'd be like, yeah, Sega thought this was a brilliant idea. Let me tell you about all the times I told them this is a bad idea. Or let me show you all my internal conversations to Sega about how I might have said that trailer wasn't indicative of the game. Or the heads up I gave Sega multiple times because they're my producer about how the game maybe was behind schedule or maybe had to make significant cuts to the... Oh, man, I would throw
well, the problem is...
Interestingly enough...
Yeah, Sega thought I was going to pay for any of that.
The problem is coming out today is that Sega just filed all of that nonsense against Gearbox.
Yeah. I know. And that's why I just feel like, sorry, Sega, there are way bigger publishers than you.
Yeah, but, I mean... From Sega's standpoint, all the internal documents that it's providing, is that say basically what you just said, Gearbox should produce against Sega, but that Sega has produced against Gearbox, where they're talking about Randy Pitchford getting on panels and overpromising stuff that wasn't indicative of the game. Gearbox
releasing stuff that wasn't agreed to be released, stuff they were supposed to hold back.
They had a set up. They had decided, I think it was the E3 demo was going to be like their baseline for what the game was going to be like, and then it kept shifting and changing, and that was not accurate. I mean, I don't know, not to prejudge, but from what I have seen, and what I personally experienced at that demo at E3, I'm on Sega's side on this one. I feel like Gearbox kind of snowballed them.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, like you said, a lot of what Janelle just said, Sega's filed, but Sega even said that they initially had all the discretion regarding marketing decision, but according to the contract, they were required to consult Gearbox for all marketing activities. Mm-hmm. And that apparently, like Phil said, Randy Pitchford just was driving people crazy.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much like, what are we putting on TV? It was more like, what is Pitchford saying in panels? I mean,
yeah.
Sega has an internal email where they're like, we're not doing panels anymore because Pitchford keeps going off and doing whatever.
Yeah,
Polygon has an internal email.
The argument there, though, is Randy Pitchford as an individual speaking on panels advertising for Sega, and I would say it's not.
Well, according to this internal email right here, that Polygon has, it says that this guy from Sega spoke face to face to Gibson, who's one of the guys at Gearbox, about the persistent panel leaking, and effectively it's Randy doing whatever the fuck he likes. Apparently he did it twice on Borderlands 2 also, again, against all plans and despite the fact that they asked him not to. I think our best result here is that we have no more panel sessions. Like Phil said. I mean, it's kind of a mess. I mean, I can see from a legal standpoint especially what Janelle's saying because, you know, if you're Gearbox, you're a contractor, and it's really, you know, it's going to be really hard, I think, for them to sort of hang Gearbox with this if Gearbox was operating as a contractor, depending on the terms of the contract, which obviously none of us have read. Still, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be ugly.
I just don't think, I don't know, like, I think that vertical slice demo is more damning than any sort of information that they can provide about a private individual on his private time speaking on panels.
Yeah, I mean, as a person...
Well, but I mean, if you're Randy Pitchford, you are the face of that company, and if you're talking about the product that you're making, I don't really see it as being a private individual on your private time speaking on panels so much. I mean, like, you're there to talk about the product you're supposed to be making.
I agree with you, but the problem there is as a contractor, he's technically an agent of Sega when speaking about the game they're making for Sega. And if Sega actually had a real problem with it, they should have sued him for breach of contract way before any of this happened. Now it's a problem because they have to pay money, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
They were fine with it enough at the time where they didn't technically do much about it.
There's an interesting, I mean, it's hard to say how much of all this Sega really wanted to get into.
Yeah, and clearly this is all speculation.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there seems to have been like issues with milestones and other stuff too along the way. I mean, this was troubled development, is what I'm getting at. So to get back to what you were just saying a second ago, Janelle, what do you mean that the vertical slice you think is more damning than any of this internal? Please expand.
The demo video they showed, that was kind of the crux of the controversy.
Right. Which Pitchford personally delivered. I was in the room for that.
Yeah,
I saw that demo.
But Sega had to sign off on that.
Yeah, well, and supposedly that was what they thought the quality of the game was going to be like. Then that was everybody agreed upon. And then it didn't. The problem is it didn't turn out that way.
So, for example, right, if you are Ford Motor Company and you have the company that you subcontracted that makes the brakes of your car to come talk about how great the brakes work, and then the brakes don't fucking work, at the end of the day, who is liable to the people who bought the car? Ford. Right.
Well, and fair enough, and Sega wanted to settle it out too. So, but you're right. I mean, they were working for Sega. I don't know. The whole thing seems really.
In my point of view, and I know it's not heard that often, I think that Aliens Colonial Marines was one of the best games that came out since Duke Nukem Forever. I was pretty impressed with the amazing gameplay and graphics.
It's funny because I actually don't know if he's serious or not, because I know that James actually liked Duke Nukem Forever.
Do you remember how I felt about Aliens Colonial Marines?
No.
I loved it! I didn't see the demo, but boy, did I have fun with that game.
Well, the problem with the demo was, and Phil, I saw it too, they showed this demo and it looked really great. It looked like what we wanted from an Aliens game. And then all the stuff that was in the demo that was supposed to be representative of the final game wasn't in the fucking game. I mean,
well, and this is where it gets weird to me. I think that even if, so in the hypothetical that Gearbox did what some of the rumors say, which is they took money from ACM, used it to make Borderlands, and then like haphazardly cobbled together a shitty ACM game, kind of at the last minute with the help of the other company they contracted out to. I can't remember what they're called.
I don't either.
Anyway, it's not important. There's a third company involved, and Gearbox tried to blame them for the shitty game earlier. And so anyway, Timegate, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, so I feel like a part of this is, even if it had gone the way people say it did, even if Gearbox is wholly liable, I don't think Sega ever would have done anything about it legally, except when this false advertising thing came up. Because it seems like the games industry would rather just bite the bullet and on a bad game and just pretend that it's not bad, or just like let it go, see how it goes, than actually kind of cannibalize itself in blaming each other. Does that make sense? It almost seems to me as if a company like Sega would rather just ignore the situation than say, no, actually it was Gearbox's fault and we're going to sue them and everything, you know.
Right. They don't want to have that public relations nightmare of, oh, we're suing our own company, or the company we're working with. Much like what happened with Oculus and Bethesda, what's going on in that thing. So,
yeah, it just feels to me like maybe there's a level to which, I can't remember what I was going to say now. But, I don't know. That colors, I guess, the situation to me a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, just because, as evidenced by the discussion we've just had, nobody really knows what's going on. I mean,
yeah, only Sega and Gearbox really do.
I bet you someone at Sega was just so pissed about how this game turned out in general that they decided to stick it to Gearbox.
Really,
I see. Bet on that's what's going on.
I feel like you're in Gearbox's camp, and I am definitely not. And it's
I'm honestly not in anyone's camp.
Yeah.
I just think that, look, I've seen a lot of these publisher-developer agreements in the wild, and they are, 50 pages long with all the milestones for all the years of development listed clearly in the contract, with all rights taken away from the developers, with control mostly implanted in the publisher, blah, 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 blah. I just think everything that went wrong, it's kind of like the buck stops here. Like, ultimately, there needs to be some accountability, and if the game was that bad, Sega should have never released it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in development for so long, I'm sure.
I'm sure Sega decided to just simply cut their losses,
and get it out
there, and that's the end. But you know what? That was a bad choice on Sega's part.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Gearbox is... I'm not taking anyone's camp. I just think that Sega was the one in the best position for quality control and customer service, and they dropped that ball.
Yeah. No, that's pretty fair. I agree.
Yeah. It's an ugly situation. I mean, let's face it. It's not like...
Yeah.
So... I mean, I don't want to... Let's not end on that. That's so negative. Let's talk about something good. I'll tell you what. I got a chance... I don't know if you guys watched it yet. There was a new Call of Duty trailer that came out for Advanced Warfare yesterday. It's like 7 minutes long. It's got all this multiplayer footage in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows off, like, some of the customization stuff they added, things like that. And you know what? Like, as much as I have complained and bitched about Call of Duty over the years, I kind of want to play this game. And I don't know how to feel about that.
Is there a zombie mode in it? Because I'm totally down.
I'm sure there is. Like, I have no doubt. I don't know, though.
Really?
No, that's not...
It's a Treyarch thing.
It's not Treyarch.
That's Treyarch's thing.
Yeah. So it's probably not a zombie mode. It's probably just... I know there's...
Instead of zombies or aliens, maybe it's like sentient robots mode?
Well, no, that's Infinity Ward's thing now.
Well, aliens is, but not sentient robots.
This is all you guys need to know, okay? There's a multiplayer mode that is basically Bombing Run from Unreal Tournament. Okay? Anything else is not important. There's a Bombing Run mode. And for those of you that never played Bombing Run Unreal Tournament, first off, shame on you. And second off, it's basically, there's a ball. I think Call of Duty calls it a satellite uplink. But you can pass it to your teammates, and the idea is to get it to a certain place where the goal is and put it in the goal, right?
Okay.
If you jump through in the Unreal Tournament, if you threw the ball in, you got 3 points, and if you jump through holding the ball, you got 7 points. So, I'm not sure how Call of Duty is going to play that out, but it's really, really fun. In fact, everything about that game looks like it's going to be fun. I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, Phil, you said earlier, there's always a moment or two in Call of Duty games where you're like, okay, that was pretty cool.
I mean, you can't have that big a budget and not have something go off, And my standpoint is I always have a pretty good time with Call of Duty games, at least in multiplayer. Even if they are pretty similar to one another, there's a reason that it resonates with everyone so well. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I always have fun with it. So I don't know how to feel about it standpoint. I feel like it's inevitable. in a way.
Call of Duty, it's like it's gotten to a point where every time one comes out, like I know I'm gonna have a great time with it. I just can't get excited about them anymore because I know it's just gonna be like, it's gonna be Call of Duty, and that's gonna be great. And I'll play it for 2 months, and then I'll put it in the old game library, and then wait for the next one.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment too. I think. Both.
Probably my most, but the problem with Call of Duty always has been to me that it wasn't memorable. Like you forget about it really fast. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
But Kevin Spacey's in this one, right?
Yes, he is.
I mean, that in itself is enough for me to get excited about it. I'm a huge
Kevin
Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey. I'm a big Kevin Spacey fan, and I think he should be bringing some cool character to the role.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's good. I really want the single player to be cool. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing how it shakes out as a game. I think that Call of Duty has the cachet and the budget and the talent to really be something interesting in the game space. I mean, over the years, it has kind of become the opposite of that, where it's a tried and true, like. People kind of view it as being overly jingoistic and rah-rah patriotism and stuff, which is, I would argue, that's not necessarily always the case in the games if you do a close read. But I think that there's enough there that there could be some really interesting stuff from story and from multiplayer. Call of Duty could do something special, and I think this... I don't know, I'm optimistic that this one could be the one a little bit. That looks into the PMC thing, that kind of elevates what Call of Duty is about to be kind of more than just shoot a bunch of dudes. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I mean, look at it this way, Phil. It'll be better than Titanfall.
Okay. I like Titanfall though.
Your Titanfall fascination is well documented.
Yes. No, but you're right. It probably will be, because Titanfall's half a game. So if you complete the game, then it will be a better game.
Yeah, it'll definitely have a better campaign than Titanfall.
Yeah.
There was no campaign in Titanfall.
Yeah. If it has
No, there was an online campaign.
If you show up.
Oh my god, calling it a campaign is such bullshit. It's motorcycle games are all in multiplayer mode. Get the fuck out of here. That's not a campaign. No.
I really enjoyed the story.
Somebody in...
Oh yeah, what was it about?
There's these giant robots that fall from the sky and blah, 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 blah.
Sounds like James' internet's breaking up.
As far as sometimes when I get bored, I make up my own movie, and that's what Titanfall was like. No, but I read a review. Somebody called it a radio drama that plays out while you play the game, and I thought that was the best, best way to describe it.
I remember when the game first came out, Phil and I were like, we'll play the campaign and we'll play it together. It's going to be awesome. And then we were like playing the campaign and they were talking about stuff, and Phil was like, does that mean we're supposed to do something?
They were like, stop that gun. And they're like, no, you can't even get to that gun. Like, they're not even talking about your objectives.
They're just talking.
It's like an early access game without knowing it's early access.
Oh, yay.
Oh.
All kind of like that.
It's The Sims 4.
I like it.
I know, we're all like begrudgingly like, but I like that EA game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play it tonight. I'll let you know how I feel about it.
All this negative Titanfall said, if you guys would play Titanfall with me, I'd be so happy.
I know you have fun with it, don't you?
I really want to do a stream, a multiplayer stream, and I want it to be Titanfall.
I think we all have it on different. I at least have it on a different platform.
It's only available on PC, right?
No.
There are other platforms?
But yeah, I would love a chance to use my 3-time prestige skill against you guys.
How much does it cost on PC?
Sale sometimes, quite often.
Hang on, I'll tell you.
To the Google.
It's currently $29.99 on Origin.
Oh, it's I had enough fun.
On Origin? Who shops in Origin?
Like, I don't know.
Nice.
Don't even start me on that, okay? Origin gets a really bad rap.
I actually they've kind of won me over this year, but that's, I think, enough to talk about on an entirely different podcast.
Yeah,
next week, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't hate Origin anymore.
Why Origin isn't as bad as you think it is.
And it isn't. It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's actually pretty good now.
Pro tip, not bad.
Can I interject on a and help end on a positive note with a really great game?
Do it.
Okay, so there is a tabletop game that has recently come out for Steam and mobile platforms. And your Steam and mobile can integrate with each other so that you can have your saved game on Steam and play on your phone.
Okay.
And it's called Star Realms. If anybody likes deck-building games a la Ascension, Star Realms is basically a spaceship combat deck-building game that was designed by Magic Pro Tour and Hall of Fame champions Darwin Castle and Rob Doherty,
hey.
I think is how you pronounce his last name. And I've been playing the shit out of it on my phone, and then I went and got it for Steam, and it's free to play. So... Nice. All of these things, if you like deck-building games and you love space combats with ships, you should try out this game and let me know what you think about it, and we can play together.
Fair enough.
Okay. I'll download it on my phone.
Fine.
It's so good!
One more thing for me to download and play. Sigh.
It's honestly like the best phone game I've ever played in a long time.
Ooh, that's the bar high. I was playing it on
Steam, and I was like, wait, this is also on the phone? Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, on that note, we're going to wrap things up for this week. Thanks everybody for listening. As usual, you can find all of us someplace on the internet. Mitch and James you can find at youtube.com/gamefront and youtube.com/gamefrontwalkthrough for all of their video awesomeness. You can also watch all of their streams. I guess it's going to be daily now, isn't it? At 12 noon Pacific time?
Yeah, I think so.
Over at twitch.tv/gamefront.
Yeah.
You can send us an email if you want to, harass us or tell us things about what you think we should be talking about in the podcast, just by emailing podcast@gamefront.com. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at GameFrontCom. So, until next week, we hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy your games, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye!
Bye, bye, bye.